Mark Rogers TV taking a brief break from college football. So glad to be joined by sportscaster Earl Wright. Earl, thanks so much for stopping by.
Well, Mark, thanks a lot for asking me to join you and just remembering that I'm still on the planet.
You are on the planet. There's no question about that. Alive and well. I can see you there. So I'm going to take us back to I don't know, this must have been like the late 80s, 1990s, something in that range. And at that point, obviously, pre-internet, myself, like a lot of sports junkies, all over cable, just looking for any place we can find highlights at any time. And of course, once that clock hit 50 past the hour, bingo, headline news. Let's catch our 2 minutes of sports highlights. And one day I just heard this, from the fine city of Los Angeles, kind of delivering. I was like, what is going on? Who is this guy? What's going on? And then, of course, I couldn't see you for like 3, 4, 5 months, whatever it was, until I saw you actually anchoring. But I got hooked. A lot of people out there got hooked on the passion, the delivery, the unique delivery, and how did you discover that? How did that happen in terms of you developing that kind of style?
I would say that it happened really by mistake, also combined with the late hours that we were working on the East Coast, waiting for the West Coast games to go final. And of course, we could not leave. Our shift did not end until that thrilling, Sacramento King and Supersonic game came to an end at 1:32 a.m. So the goofiness that goes along with staying up late, the skeleton crew that still existed, nobody's around, what the heck, and physically we were in a small voice booth with 2 editing machines. That's how we put our reports together. So it was just me. And out of ignorance, out of whatever, I didn't think anybody was listening. Who'd be listening or whatever. So I guess I had those variables created an atmosphere of freedom and experimentation. Thankfully, I've been blessed with a good voice. But I really have always stated more than anything, I love sports. It's fun to me. I just hated it when we had to do the serious stories. Yes, that's a part of life and it has to be done. But the games themselves are fun. The games are meant to be fun and enjoyable and exciting. That's what they provoke in me. That's the kind of reaction that was provoking. And when you're showing the best highlight of one game, my gosh, that's certainly reason enough to be excited. So all those factors kind of contributed there, and then I started to get some positive feedback from my coworkers at CNN Sports. They'd come in the next day and say, dude, I saw your 3:20 a.m. report. What in the world was going on there? But they were smiling, and that encouraged me to keep doing it.
Earl, I think you inspired a lot of us because you were kind of on the cutting edge of a new age of sportscaster that had a lot of fun with it, who liked to play up maybe a pop culture angle or just some type of shtick to it. And for myself, now this is a drop in the ocean compared to what you would do on the air, but I think I was subconsciously inspired by your style because after the 10 o'clock news in Mississippi, when I was down at WCBI in the mid to late 90s, we had to do a 2-minute sportscast for the next morning's show. And so I had to say, and of course, similar to what you were talking about, I've slugged it out for 12 hours. I don't want to stick around and do this 2-minute sportscast, but hey, let's knock it out. So I would have to say, hello, everyone. This is Mark Rogers with your first look at sports. And I just started to embellish upon it. And within a few weeks or months, I'm saying, this is Mark Rogers with your first look at sports. And then I just got crazier and crazier. People either loved it or hate it, but I'd go around town, and that's what I got known for.
Right. Well,
again, a drop in the bucket compared to what you experienced. So,
well, good for you, and to also totally relate. People either loved it or hated it. There wasn't much in between. And some of the mail that I received that addressed personally to me certainly conveyed that response. Either loved it or hated it. And then, of course, the bosses got even more mail. And every now and then, Bill McPhail, who was the late Bill McPhail, who was the president at the time, but had enough knowledge to realize that any reaction in television is usually a positive thing. So we talk about it, and I tell him I'm just having fun, and I am being myself. I'm not trying to be anybody else. This is who I am, and I'm going to have fun with it.
That's
And he said,
great.
"All right, keep it going. Just watch yourself. Don't get too far out there. That kind of thing."
So I kind of categorize people that get into sports in two buckets, and that's probably a little simplistic. But you got your people that love television and they want to be a face on the air, they want to be a celebrity, they want to be a personality, and sports seems like the easiest way or the most fun way rather than
Right.
getting into the hard news. Then you got your real sports junkies who just they can't play, so they need to be involved. And it sounds like you were kind of a combination of the two.
You've got that exactly right. And I had the chance to intern at CNN Sports in the summer of '82 when that crazy new network of TEDs was barely 2 years old. And at the time, Nick and Fred were the sports team. Craig Sager was there. John Fricke, a name from the past. A few others. Jim Huber was also there during those early years. My job as an intern was to watch and log the games, as I'm sure you can relate to with your association with ESPN. So, but I was watching and observing these guys getting paid to sit around and watch a row of televisions with all the games coming in. Dream job. And they got to talk about it afterwards, and they got to be on TV and get a little fame to themselves. Or, an 18, 19-year-old, that was a dream job. And so I pursued it with the vigor after that.
So, Van Earl, whether it's a crazy late night where everything went wrong or an interesting person you met on the road, I'm sure you got 1,000 stories for us, but is there anything that stands out in terms of an interesting or funny story that you can convey?
Well, as I mentioned, we used to put together our reports in a small booth that was it was a sliding glass door, and working those late hours, it, creates an environment. We also had to leave two different overnight reports that they would air in the alternate hours until the morning shift came in the next day. And my coworkers were finished, and I was still in the booth working, and my coworkers were banging on the glass door, dogging me that they were heading to the bar, and I was still working. And so I yelled back at them with the glass door shut while I was recording part of one report over to another and not realizing that my microphone was open. So the next day I come into work. The boss calls me in, says, "Here's your 3:20 a.m. report. Why don't you listen to this part?" And he plays it for me. "Last Sunday night in Los Angeles, in the NHL, eat me!" was yelled out over the broadcast. I just melted. I was devastated. I thought my career was over. All I was doing was yelling at my coworkers, but making the absolute stupid, unforgivable mistake of having my microphone on when I was yelling at them. And it cost me, and I didn't bother to check the tape before I left the building. So that was one of those stories.
That's beautiful. That's funny. So I guess the first bit of advice you would pass on to any aspiring sportscasters would be, check the
Check the tape.
Check the tape. Check the tape.
And make sure you don't say things when your microphone is hot.
Yeah. With this day and age, all you have to do is scan through YouTube and you find a zillion examples of broadcasters doing stupid things on air, saying dumb things.
Absolutely. So I know I'm not alone in that regard.
So besides that, any aspiring sportscasters out there, it's a different age with just this example right here with
no kidding.
And all the opportunities out there. But any advice that you have for aspiring sportscasters, broadcasters in general out there?
It is such a different age, as you know, Mark. And to tell a person, an aspiring person, which route to take or which technology is going to take you the farthest, absolutely no one knows the answer to that. But I think as many people, or similar to the advice that many people give, is follow your heart and follow your passion. And that's exactly what I did. And I believed in myself and believed that I was staying true to myself. And yes, we all have to compromise. Hello, you kindergartners in DC. We all have to learn the art of compromise. But while we're doing so, we can still stay true to ourselves and to our passions and to what really gets us going. And if a career in sports communication is what means the most to you, then pursue it with a vigor and figure out which route to take when you get there, but just keep that truism to yourself always alive.
Where can we find you these days, Van Earl?
Well, I have been freelance broadcasting, and it's been a little slow, but I'm now doing a high school play-by-play game of the week, and that is combined with my kind of diversion in my career. I want to pursue play-by-play right now a whole lot more than studio work, and so I'm really focused on that. I'm currently working with WSB, which is the ABC affiliate here in Atlanta, and we do a Friday night game of the week, and you can check it out thanks to the wonderful world of technology wherever you are, whether it's New Delhi, Sydney, or Honolulu. WSBTV.com at 7:25 p.m. on Friday nights. And when you get to the site, click Watch Live, and you'll be able to see former Bulldog and Falcon, DJ Shockley, and myself. And we do a high school game of the week, and I have thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm really grateful for this opportunity because this is a new route that I am pursuing in my career.
That is awesome. And when we get done with this, we'll post the ID of where people can find that.
I appreciate that help. Appreciate that help very much.
Be sure that there's a lot of guys out there like me that were coming through the ranks, college and everything, late 80s, early 90s, that, yeah, you made a lot of us smile and a lot of us laugh for a long time.
And that makes me very happy and proud because I did. It was the number one goal and priority was to inform the viewer of what happened and make sure you were accurate in doing so. But give them a smile, give them a reason to laugh and have fun at the same time.
Great. Van Earl, thanks so much for stopping by. We appreciate it.
Mark, I really appreciate you remembering me and also inviting me on your show. And best of luck with your new venture. This is great.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
You too, Mark.